so I actually am going to do a comparison video between the REVO Pumpkin Spice and the Chapstick Pumpkin Pie Lip Balms, because actually they're a lot more similar than I gave them credit for. I wasn't sure if I was going to do any comparisons with this one or not, but I am going to do this one. So anyway, let's get right into it. Format-wise, this one is a flat-topped dome, as opposed to the Chapstick, which is just literally a stick. And yeah, this one, I'm still not wild about the way it locks in place. But yeah, so packaging-wise, this one's just a little orange sphere with the little wigglies on the front that don't line up quite right, and the yellow sticker on top, whereas the Chapstick has a cute little pumpkin pie with a dollop of whipped cream on top. And I actually did this one correctly and kept the little decal on there when I opened it. My other one, I accidentally tore it off. So yay, I did this one right. And this newer one actually does smell and taste more like it's supposed to. So maybe my first one was either just old or it was bad. I don't know, but I like this one more. Anyway, moving right along. Neither one of these are natural or organic. They are both synthetic lip balms. I believe they're both limited edition as well. This was part of the 2014 Halloween set that REVO did, and that was the only time they've ever done pumpkin spice. I really wish they'd bring it back and do it again, because getting as close as it is to the expiration date, I don't think I'm going to spend the money to rebuy this one again unless they re-release it newer. And this one, I mean, they keep re-releasing it like every year, but they only seem to sell it during certain parts of the year, except at very specific retailers. Certain ones sell it year-round because they overbuy, and then they're trying to sell them for the rest of the year. But they do come out pretty much every autumn, somewhere around either Halloween or Thanksgiving. They bring it back out, and they sell it straight through Christmas and into the beginning of the year, and then they discontinue it again, and they act like it's a big deal when they bring it back, even though they bring it out every year. Anyway, the amount of product you get in the REVO is 1/4 ounce. In the stick you get 0.15 ounces. The shelf life on this one, it expires in August of 2017. This one I don't think has an expiration date, unless that's one. No, that's not. That's a lot number. So, I'm double checking this, but yeah, there is no expiration date on this. So that one, unless it starts to go funny, it should, for all intents and purposes, stay good indefinitely. Price point on them is actually, well, when they first came out, was initially fairly on par with each other. The Chapstick's a little cheaper, since those, if you find them in the store, they're like $1. This was like $2.50 or $3.50, depending, although now if you find them on eBay, that price has inflated crazily to like $50 or more each, which is kind of a ripoff, and also why I say I don't think I'm going to buy any more of it unless they re-release it, since there is no reason to spend that much money on a single lip balm, ever. I don't understand the people that pay like $200 for the Black Cat Cherry REVO either, for that matter. Anyway, moving right along. Sturdiness and durability-wise, like I said in the review for this one, I do not like the way that this one locks together. It does not line up quite correctly. Hey, I think that time, nope, it didn't line up quite right. The wiggles don't line up on it correctly. It gets stuck because it's too tight. If you try and stop it where they do line up, it's not really properly closed and you can feel it's loose. So that I'm not that wild about with this one. Although I think it may just be this specific one, not all of the pumpkin spice ones, since I don't remember having that problem with the other two I've had in the past of it. And this one is just your standard Chapstick tube. It's nothing special. It's pretty much just hard plastic. Can't really do anything to that. About the most I worry about here is just the little decal coming off, but as long as you don't tear it, you can slide it back on the cap. No, my issue with Chapsticks, and this has always been a thing, it's nothing native to this one, is that they break. Like, not snap off, although I suppose that happens too, but like, if you turn it up, like, within 2 times of using this one, and this happened with my other one as well, it, like, wouldn't screw back down. You have to take your finger and go, like, and jam it back down, which is kind of gross to me. You know, I hate putting my fingers on lip products. It just is a pet peeve of mine. I feel like it's so gross to do, even with freshly washed hands. It just feels nasty to me. Yeah, I'm not a fan of potted lip products either, but yeah, so that always bothers me with chapsticks, that they almost always seem to have this issue of having the turn wheel break that way, and I don't know why. I'm super careful with them, but this just seems to be a thing that is very common with stick-type lip balms. Special features, I don't believe there are any. Neither of them have SPF, neither of them have medication. So scent-wise, they're actually more alike than I gave them credit for before I checked them back to back. The REVO is obviously a lot sweeter than the chapstick is, but otherwise they actually are very similar, amazingly enough. Yeah, it's like, the main difference with the REVO is that it almost has like a butterscotchy type sweetness to it. And I had one of my users compare it to coffee cake, and now that they've said that, I definitely smell that as well. That is another very apt comparison here. But it's a very, very sweet smell, but you do pick up on the spices and you do pick up on the pumpkin, whereas the chapstick, it's not as sweet, but you do get that spiciness. Like, not like hot spicy, but I mean like herbal spices. Like nutmeg and cinnamon and all that good stuff that goes into pumpkin pie. But you also get the pumpkin as well, which I feel like is an improvement on my old one, because I did not smell any pumpkin in the old version of this that I had. Just nutmeg, so maybe that one was bad. But this one, I do smell all of the requisite scents in this one. They're just very similar, with the exception that this one's a heck of a lot sweeter. And back to back, I feel like I might actually prefer the scent of this one because it's not quite as sweet and not quite as overwhelming that way. So if I wanted to, I could probably use that one daily if for some reason I wanted to wear it every day. Whereas this one is more of a every once in a while kind of treat, but definitely never an everyday one. Not for me anyway. Maybe if you're like super into really sweet smells, perhaps, but I like sweet smells, but not as a constant thing. They start to nauseate me after a while if I use them too much, so I just try to use them sparingly and intermittently with like another one that's not as sweet that I can swap out for it like every other time if I'm in a phase where I feel like using it a lot. So I find that works for me, but you may feel differently, or you may hate sweet smells and just want to avoid it entirely. It's just a matter of personal opinion. So anyway, color-wise, they both go on clear, although they both have a very orangey sort of wax to them. The chapstick actually does leave a little tiny bit of orangey residue behind, I've noticed. And I've checked it both on my hand and on my lips, and I find it's more noticeable on my lips than my hand when I swatch it. But yeah, it does leave a little tiny bit. It's not that noticeable unless you're specifically looking for it. Whereas the REVO doesn't leave anything behind. So that's a point in the REVO's favor, but like I said, it's not that noticeable, so I don't really count it as that huge a strike against the chapstick. Flavor-wise, the chapstick doesn't really have a flavor. The REVO kind of does, and it does even kind of taste like pumpkin. It's a sweet flavor, but it's subtle. It's thankfully not as overwhelming as how sweet it smells. Otherwise I would probably just not be on board with it if it had the flavor and the scent that strong. But since it's just one, I can kind of hang with it. But yeah, so in terms of that, I guess this one tastes better since that one doesn't really have a taste. Consistency-wise, they're a little different. I find the chapstick, it's more of like the greasy type of lip balm, whereas the REVO is more creamy than greasy. But on that token, I find the chapstick does a better job, at least for me anyway, of moisturizing. I mean, the REVO moisturizes too, but for whatever reason, the chapstick just happens to work better for me, and that's usually been the case with most chapstick products. I won't say all, because there have been exceptions to that rule where they just did not live up to the hype. Like the key lime one is just really waxy and doesn't do a very good job, but most chapsticks I find work better for me than most products on the market do. So there's that. Shine factor wise, I think the chapstick is a tiny bit shinier than the REVO, but they're almost identical. I checked this too with putting one half of my lower lip with the REVO and one half with the Chapstick and looking at it side by side, and it's pretty comparable in terms of shine factor, so that's not really anything I would count against or for it because they're just so similar that it's not really even a difference. Longevity-wise, though, there is a huge difference there. I was mistaken when I said that the pumpkin spice one only lasts a few hours. I hadn't used it in quite a while prior to reviewing it, and I forgot that that one actually does have some hardcore staying power. When I put that on to review it, it was maybe 6 o'clock at night. I went to bed around 11. It was still on. That was after brushing my teeth. That was after using mouthwash, and it was still there. So that is more than double what I had said is my guesstimate for how long it lasts. So I amend that statement. That thing stays on like a beast. Just saying. The Chapstick, on the other hand, that one is more like what I said this one lasts for in the review. So my apologies on that. This one, especially if I've been drinking anything, it's like gone within an hour. I've already put it on twice today. So there is that. But like I said, I find it personally works better for me, so I don't mind reapplying it because it just does a better job. So yeah, if I were going to pick one of these over the other, I think I would go for function over form, and I would go with the Chapstick, simply because it works better for me, and it's not quite as overwhelmingly sweet, so I could use this daily if I really wanted to. I probably wouldn't, just because I feel like I don't want to use something with nutmeg every single day in it because of the risk of nutmeg toxicity. I'm not sure if there's even actually any literally in it or if it's just the scent, but if there's any in it, I'm a little bit leery on that ever since there have been all the studies with nutmeg, not gonna lie, so, but regardless, out of these two, I think I would pick the Chapstick, even though, not gonna lie, I do really like the REVO. Do not get me wrong, I do not dislike it, but out of these two, I think I would go with the Chapstick. So anyway, that's about all I have to say here. So, as usual, if you like this video, click the like button. If you're not already and you'd like to be, click subscribe. Leave comments down below. Do you have either of these? Do you have both of these? Which one do you like better, personally, and why? Let me know in the comments, as well as anything else you'd like to leave me. And let me know what you'd like to see me review the most next. And until next time, bye!